Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, pretty well. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can.
Yes,
How's the image?
thank
Everything good?
Can you turn off the light? Well, okay. Now it's better. Yes, it's pretty good. We can see you on screen here or
Okay.
projected on the whiteboard, okay?
Okay, awesome. Perfect.
I think it's not necessary. Why? Okay. So this is the classroom. We are here in 9 people, I guess, or 7 people. Say hello.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Yes,
Thank you for coming.
thank you for coming. Yes, we have to thank you for coming and for being available for this interview. Thank you very much. It's a
Oh,
pleasure.
sure. Sure, it's my pleasure.
Yes, excellent. So,
So tell me where you are. Where in Brazil are you at?
very good. We are in the southeast of Brazil.
Okay.
We are kind of between São Paulo, Rio, and Brasilia.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm from Venezuela originally. So,
She's from Venezuela. Very nice.
yes. But I left a long time ago. I left 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Yes.
Very good. And then where did you move?
I moved to Florida, which is where I got my PhD at the University of South Florida.
Mhm.
And then I got a postdoc in North Carolina, and I stayed in this area. And I've been here at NC State for 15 years.
15 years. Very nice.
Yes.
So the undergraduation course was in Venezuela.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The undergraduation course, your major was in Venezuela.
Yes, that's right. At Universidad Simón Bolívar in Caracas.
In Caracas. Very nice.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Yes.
So, can you just introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your career? And I mean, just to give us an idea of what you do every day.
Okay, well, I am Maria Gallardo-Williams. I am a teaching associate professor at NC State University, North Carolina State University. I am also the director of the organic chemistry labs here. So NC State is a really big university. We have over 5,000 students take those labs every year. So that's a lot. So a big part of my job is to organize all of those labs and make sure that we have the people that are teaching those labs are properly trained and that all our instruments work. So that's a big chunk of my time. And then I also teach organic chemistry. So I have a class of 200 students, and that's another chunk of my time. And then I do research in chemical education on the side. Well, not on the side, most of the time. So yeah, that's what I do.
Very nice, excellent. So we have prepared some questions for you. Each one's going to, we are going to take turns, okay?
Okay.
Let's start with Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
What's your name?
Kyle.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We had prepared some questions to
Okay.
for you, and the first one is, why did you choose to study chemistry? How and when? Did you?
Well, I didn't know that it was called chemistry, but when I was very little, I really like mixing potions and cooking strange things in the kitchen that weren't really things to eat. Like I really wanted to make things like rat poison, but from kitchen stuff. So I didn't know that that had a name, but my mom was very confused by how much I like to do this. So she started to ask her friends around, and they told her, maybe you should get her a chemistry set. And so when she did that, I was like, that's exactly what I've always wanted, you know? And so I knew when I was about 9 or 10 years old that I was going to be a chemist and I was going to be playing with chemistry sets the rest of my life.
Yeah. And why did you like you like these things in the kitchen that you've done when you were a childhood, and you've chose that, but behind these moments when you were a child and you in university, you had any like you ever thought like I'm doing what I want, I'm really doing what I want to do, like, understand?
Yeah, I always have done what I wanted to do. My mom wasn't really on board with that. She thought I should have done what she wanted me to do, which was to go to pharmacy school, because she wanted me to have a pharmacy. You know, moms really want their kids to make money and be happy, and she thought she would be very happy if I was a pharmacist. But I didn't think I would be very happy, so I didn't do it. And I always kind of did exactly what I wanted to do. And it worked out really well for me, so.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, now is gonna be another student here to make another question for you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello,
Hi, what's your name?
Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
The second question I have is, did anyone inspired you before or during your studies at college?
Yes, I had a teacher when I was in high school she was a biology teacher. And she was also, besides teaching at my school, she worked at a research lab. And she did a whole lot of work with fruit flies, breeding fruit flies, and creating different kinds of fruit flies. You know, fruit flies can have like different color eyes and like different kinds of wings and things like that. I didn't want to work with fruit flies myself, but I liked that she had that as part of her life. You know, after she was done teaching us, she would go to her lab and she would do her research. And she also had a family and she had kids. And I thought that was great because it was like she was doing everything that I wanted to do and she was doing all of it really well. So she was very inspirational to me.
Okay. Now, the next student. But thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi,
Hi, what's your name?
Lucas.
Hi, Lucas.
And my question is, what challenge did you find in your career?
Oh my goodness, I found a lot of challenges. Sometimes intellectual challenges, some subjects are really hard. For example, this will surprise you, but I don't like math at all. And I had to take a lot of math classes. So those classes were challenging for me because I didn't like the subject, but I had to take them to graduate. So I had to do it. I had to apply myself. I still don't like math, but I don't have to do math now because I'm done. So that was great. So those were the intellectual challenges. And then there were some personal challenges. It took my family a very long time to understand what I do. My parents didn't go to college. They came from Spain and they were immigrants. And it was very difficult for them to understand that you can make a living out of being a college professor and that it's okay to dedicate your life to this. They were also very worried that I wasn't going to be able to get married or have children, but I did get married and I did have children, so they worried for nothing. And then sometimes it's hard to be a woman and a scientist because people don't take you seriously, and you really have to work hard on making sure that people accept you as a scientist. And what I did was I've always really tried to be very very serious when I'm at work, but also be a woman at the same time. You know, you don't have to change the person that you are to be a scientist. So I am a woman who doesn't like math, and I'm a scientist.
Yes, thank you. And
Thank you.
another student. Yeah, you wanna ask anything, Sophia? Okay, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Hi,
Hi, how are you? What's your name?
I'm fine. My name is Sophia.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you?
What's your question?
My question is, what's the funnest thing you do being a scientist?
The most fun thing I do sometimes is talk to kids. So I'm having a lot of fun right now. The other fun thing is when you get a project that you've been working on for a long time and it works and you can share that with other people. That is super fun. So for example, I've been working for a long time on a project to create a virtual reality chemistry lab. And it took very, very long because the technology wasn't ready to do that. So we had to create our own ways to represent things in virtual reality. It took us about a whole year to do one single lab, but now we got it done and I got to present that at a conference, and that is so fun and so exciting. So that's one of my favorite parts, telling people when things are working right. If you guys want to, I can send you the link and you can try my virtual reality chemistry lab. You might like it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And do you want to add anything, Lorella? She said, virtual reality.
Hello,
Hi, how are you? What's your name?
Viviane.
Hi, Vivian. What's your question?
What's the most important discovery you have made?
Well, I work in chemical education, as you know. So the most important thing that we have found in our group is that students learn more when they are taught by other students. And that's something that was known in the literature for a long time, but nobody had actually demonstrated it. And we were able to do that using videos. So we ask our students to make videos, and then we use those videos to teach other students. And they learn more from that than they would ever learn from me teaching them one-on-one. Isn't that interesting? So there's a really important new area of development, which is student-made content, videos, virtual reality, all kinds of demonstrations, podcasts. You can learn so much from other students because you don't feel intimidated by them. You don't feel like they are this big, important figure like your professor might be, but they're somebody just like you. So it really opens a lot of areas of communication, and it makes learning difficult subjects a lot easier for students. So that's pretty much, I think, the most important thing my group has ever discovered.
Yes, I read this project. Our teacher showed us.
Did you like it?
Yes, and I like it very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very good. I'm loving this. Student content, huh? I think I'm going to make you record videos.
Hello,
Yeah.
Hi, what's your name?
my name is Gustavo.
Hi, Gustavo. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's your question?
Well, my questions is, when you were younger,
Mhm.
were you always good at science classes and projects?
I was good at some science classes and projects. So I was really good at biology and chemistry. Those were things that I liked to do. I was not very good at math. In fact, I hated it. And I was not very good at physics because physics is a lot of math. So those were not my favorite things. I do like projects though. So I remember doing a physics project that was about a pendulum, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I even like doing the math for that project. So if it's a project, I usually like it. If it has a lot of math, I usually don't like it. But like everybody else, everybody has their strengths, right? So one thing that I really like is to talk to people and to communicate. So if the project was a presentation that I could do, I usually love that. Or if I had to build something, because I really like making stuff with my hands. And my dad really liked to help me with building things, because my dad was in construction. So that was just his thing. So that was always a lot of fun for me. If it was something that was more, you know, math-based or writing papers and things like that, I didn't like that so much when I was in school. I like it now. I write papers all the time because that's my job. But when I was in school, I didn't like it that much.
Yeah, interesting.
Did that answer your question?
I have another question about
Yes.
what do you think about how can science change the world? Like is a better world for everyone else?
I don't think I understood you correctly. Can you say that again?
Okay. What do you think about the science in chemistry, biology, everything, is you change the world of people? Like a
I think
better world in the future?
I think science changes the world all the time. It's just that different kinds of science come to play at different times, right?
Okay.
Think, for example, of the changes that chemistry has brought, good changes and bad changes, right? We have, for example, fertilizers now that we can use to grow more crops. That should be a good change. But on the other hand, almost the same science that we have used to create fertilizers, we've used it to create explosives and bombs and things like that. So that's a sort of a bad change. So I think that the hard sciences like chemistry and physics and math have really made a lot of progress this past 100 years. And it's kind of time for the social sciences to step up. And we need to start to think more critically about what is right and what is wrong. The fact that we have, you know, weapons, does it mean that we should use them all the time? Or does it mean that we should be more conscious about using those weapons, right? So that's one reason why I think that it's important to be educated in all areas and not just one. A chemist can make whatever you ask him or her to make, right? If you ask me to make you a bomb, I can make you a bomb. Is it the right thing to do? Or maybe we should make something different so we can help other people, right? So I think it's time for the social sciences to really take a leading role and for people to become more thoughtful about, just because we have something doesn't mean we should use it. Just because we have weapons doesn't mean we should use them. How about we take that same power and use it to feed people? Wouldn't that be awesome if everybody had food and everybody had a safe environment and everybody had water? But you know, that's the thing, that sometimes the funding for science is only for creating things that are not good for everybody. So I think it's really important for all of us to use our thinking caps and say, should we do this kind of science, or should we do science that helps more people? You know, that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to get into chemical education, because a lot of people don't like chemistry because it's a hard subject, and sometimes teachers make it even harder than it has to be. And I think if everybody could understand chemistry, then maybe we could make better decisions, and maybe we could make decisions that help other people instead of, you know, hurting other people. Is that very political? I don't mean to be political. I just want to make you think, you know, just because we can do science, should we do this kind of science?
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye.
Hi,
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine.
What's your name?
Klaus.
Klaus. What's your question?
So, if you hadn't studied chemistry, what career would
would you have chosen?
If I was not a chemist, I would probably like to be a biologist. But I would not be a very good biologist because I could never kill an animal to study it. So when we had to, have you had biology lab where you have to like open up a frog or something like that? I did not like that. That was very hard for me. So I would like to study living animals, but I would not like to study dead animals.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Our teacher is going to continue.
Thank you.
Hello again.
Hi, you're back.
How much time did you have studied to be a chemist? Like how hard it was to be the type of science that you are right now?
How long did I have to study? Well, first I have to do my bachelor's degree, which was 5 years in Venezuela. Then I have to do my PhD, which was 4 years. So that would be 9 so far. And then I did 2 years of what is called postdoctoral work. When you're a postdoc, you're finished with your studies, but you're still working for somebody. So that would be a total of 11 years. I don't think it was really very hard. The math was hard. All the other stuff was really fun. But I really liked it. I like school a lot. That's why I work at a university. I like learning and I like explaining stuff and having stuff explained to me. So I don't think it's hard at all. It's just, if you like it, it doesn't feel so hard, right?
Yeah.
There's always going to be parts of it that you don't like as much. For example, I don't like physical chemistry very much, but I had to do it so I could graduate, so I did it, right? So there's always going to be your favorite part. So my favorite part has always been organic chemistry, which is, to me, the only good kind of chemistry. And then there's other things that you have to do because it's part of your career, and I did those as well. But it never felt really hard. It was work, but I liked it. I enjoyed it.
And as a chemistry, how much you think, what? As a chemist? Okay, as a chemist, how much you think you can take like over the years to change chemistry in the way that you have said, because as you said, there is bad size and good size of chemistry and discovery. How you as a scientist, you can change the situation or say it loud to everyone, listen and understand this situation at all?
I think that the problem is not the chemistry. The problem is how we use the chemistry, right? Because you can always use it for good things or you can use it for bad things. And that's not just chemistry, that is anything. I mean, think about any natural resource that you might have close to you. If you have water, right? Water is essential for life. You have to have water, but you can also drown if you have too much water, right? If the river presses and takes you, you will drown. So it's the same thing with chemistry. The problem is not the science. Science is not good or bad. Science just is. So we, the people, are the ones who need to say, this is what we would like to do. And I think that a big problem that we're having right now is that, I don't know if you have noticed, but we have lots of pressure from, people to kind of look at science in a bad light. You think that science is causing problems. Science is not causing problems. Science can solve problems if you let us, but there's got to be a political will behind that. So we should have, as a community, the whole world should have an emphasis in important scientific problems and how to fix them, right? For example, climate change. Why are we still debating if climate change is real or not. Anybody who lives on Earth knows that the climate has changed. Isn't it super hot in the summer and super cold in the winter? And don't we have all kinds of climate phenomena that we didn't have before? We have worse hurricanes than ever. We have worse cyclones than ever. Why don't we stop discussing the political side and stop focusing on the science side? Man is causing climate to change. How do we make that bit different, right? I mean, but as you can see, the science is not the problem. The people are the problem. Yeah. Science is not good or bad. It just is. Just like water is not good or bad, or fire is not good or bad. It depends on what you use it for, right? Yeah. So it's up to all of us. And the number one thing that we can do is stop people when they are saying bad things about science. Science is not good. Science is not bad. Science is just telling you what we can observe. And if we all can observe climate change, then we need to take it seriously. If we all can observe that there are thousands of people dying of hunger every year, we need to take that seriously and do something about it. And we have the science to do it. Now we just need to have the will to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question before. Yeah. I'm not sure if everybody here knows what organic chemistry is. Can you just explain a few words?
Oh, sure. So organic chemistry is the chemistry of all things that are made from carbon. Carbon is an element number 6 in the periodic table, and it actually makes up all the proteins that are in your body, all the things that surround you, many of them natural and some of them man-made. So it's a really important branch of chemistry, and it really has to do more with understanding how molecules are put together than anything else. And that's really one of my favorite parts, because organic chemistry is very intuitive for a lot of people. We use a lot of models, we use a lot of three-dimensional representations, and it's very easy for people to grasp it. And once you understand that that part of chemistry is not that hard, then you can apply that to other things. Does that answer your question?
Sure, yeah, that's amazing. One of the students are saying that they are studying that at school, high school, and it's kind of difficult for them.
Tell them to get a model set. Get a model set. That will change your life.
Yes, write that in the inside, Lucas. Get a model set. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
Hello. The question is, which area of chemistry do you dedicate more to?
What area of chemistry do I dedicate more time to? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Well, right now, chemical education. So trying to teach people chemistry is my #1 priority. But because I teach organic chemistry, that is the area that I spend the most time on. So I teach a class. So right now I have one big section of organic chemistry with 200 students. And then I have about 100 sections of lab. And what I'm trying to do is trying to make sure that we have tools that we can use to teach all those students in the best possible way so that they can be successful. So that's what I spend most of my time thinking. How can I teach better chemistry classes? How can I use the resources that my students develop to teach better chemistry classes? That's one thing that I spend a lot of time on.
And do you like to teach?
Do I like to teach? Yes, I love teaching. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't like grading that much, but I like teaching.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, hello again.
Hi, Lucas.
What are your plans for the future as a chemist? like you want to be continue being a teacher, or you have another option?
So I want to continue to be teaching and doing research at the same time. So next year I will be promoted to full professor, which means pretty much means they can't fire me anymore, no matter what I do. So I intend to do a lot more research once that happens. I'm writing some grants right now to try to get some money to do some really interesting virtual reality chemistry experiences. And what I want to do is, have you ever used virtual reality? Do you know what that looks like?
Yes, so not for study.
Okay, but you've done it for fun, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to create this virtual reality world where you can experience what things are like at the atomic level. So for example, you could be inside a reaction and you could see what happens when two atoms get close to each other and how they interact with each other and how that may be different depending on what atoms you're using. So that's easy to say, but to actually make that happen, it's really hard and it takes a lot of development. So that's something that I really want to dedicate some time to in the next 3 or 4 years, see if we can get that project off the ground. We know how to make virtual reality lab experiences, but those are, there's people in them, there's equipment in them, but I want to go inside at the molecular level and show you what things would look like if you could actually be inside the chemical reaction. That's what I want to do. And that's going to be tough, but I have a lot of students that want to help me, and I have a really good team that can do the technical part, so I think we can get it done.
Okay, and another question is, when you were in college, you sometimes want to give up?
What? No, I never wanted to give up. I mean, sometimes you get a little frustrated and you wonder, should I do something different? But it didn't last very long for me. I was one of those people that really liked college. I had a lot of fun in college. I did research when I was in college, and that was fun. And I also went to parties and stuff. Like, I had a good time. It's not just studying all the time, But I never wanted to give up. I mean, if I gave up, what would I do, right? Go work in my dad's shop? I don't think so. That was not an option. So, no, I didn't want to give up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
About our country, Brazil. Have you ever been here in Brazil?
I have been to Brazil. My uncle was the priest in Rio de Janeiro for many years. So I have visited Rio de Janeiro, and I have been to Sao Paulo. Those are the two places in Brazil that I've been. I was pretty little back then, like 7 or 8 years old. So I don't remember a lot about it, but I remember that the food was really good. I remember there was this candies that have chocolate on the inside and they're really big and they're kind of crunchy on the outside. I love those. What are those called?
Brigadeiro.
Those, yes, I love those. They were delicious.
Me too.
Yeah. That's the thing I remember the most about Brazil. And the people were really nice. Even though I didn't speak Portuguese, they were really nice to me.
Yes, and our weather is very cool. The weather, the sun, the beach.
Well, I mean, the weather to me was very similar to Venezuela. It wasn't very different. Caracas is nice too. It's usually sunny and nice. I remember the beach was also very similar to Venezuela. So I felt that the two countries share a lot of things. Oh, and I've also been, if you go to the south of Venezuela, in the border with Brazil, right across the border in the Amazon, I've been there. And to me, it feels like it's the same country, you know, the landscape is the same, the people are the same, it's just a different language, but it's very similar. So I've always liked Brazil. Reminds me of my uncle, he was really nice. I miss him.
Yes, but the weather in South of Carolina is very cold. Yes.
Oh, here in North Carolina, it is cold right now. It is cold right now, but it's not cold today. It's they say here that if you don't like the weather, just wait one day and it will be different. So yesterday it was cold and rainy, and today it is really nice and sunny. So, you know, you just have to wait. I'll show you what it looks like outside my window so you can see the weather today. It's beautiful. Let me just turn the computer so you can see. Can you see it? Can you see outside?
Yeah.
See? There's lots of trees, and it looks very nice, and it's nice most of the time. It doesn't get that cold here.
In January, I stayed near for you.
You did?
Yes.
Where did you stay?
I passed on the road near your city.
Oh, that's so cool. Where were you going?
I was in New York, Boston, Orlando, and Miami.
Nice.
And in Boston, it was very, very cold.
Yeah, my daughter lives in Boston. It's really cold up there.
I was very surprised because it was very different to our country. In Brazil,
yes,
very hot, and they're very, very cold.
Yeah, my daughter lives in Boston, and she's always freezing. Even in the summertime, it's cold in there.
But I love the snow.
It's nice. Yeah, it's a nice change.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, you are so a good teacher and study a lot, but what do you do for fun in your free time?
I do a lot of things for fun. So I have 3 kids. So we like to be outside, and we like to do paddle boarding. You know what that is?
No.
It's kind of like surfing, but with a paddle.
Oh.
So you have a thing that looks like a surfboard and a paddle, and you get to use that. There's a lot of lakes around here. So we like to paddle board on the lakes, which are really nice. They're very beautiful. I really like baking and cooking. I like to bake cakes. I like to cook. What else do I like to do? I like to travel.
Yeah.
I like to, visit new places. That's one of my favorite things. Last year I got to go to Europe, so that was fun. I went to England, and this year I'm going to go to Poland, and I think that's going to be fun too. I guess normal things that everybody likes to do, right? Just being outside. I have 2 dogs. I like to play with my dogs. They're very cute. Wait, I'll show you one of them. This is my dog. You see him?
Yeah, beautiful.
He's wearing a sweater because he's really cold. He's always cold. He's a very strange dog. But I just, probably the same kind of things that you like to do. Just being outside and having a good time.
Do you like to read books too?
I do like to read books. And, one thing that has really helped me is I like to read many different things. So sometimes I like to read biographies, and sometimes I like to read novels, and I really like vampire novels a lot. But I get a lot of really, really good and crazy ideas from reading books, and then I apply them to my research. So I know that sounds a little strange, but I actually got the idea to start making videos from reading, from novels where they were using, I don't even know what book it was, but they were using videos to train astronauts. And I thought, if you can use a video to train an astronaut, you should be able to use a video to train a student, right? And that's how I got started with making videos. That was about 5 or 6 years ago.
No,
But yeah, I do like to read, and I like to read many different things.
yeah, me too. I like to read the sci-fi books.
I like sci-fi a lot, especially all sci-fi. It's very interesting. Yes.
Exactly.
And I also like to watch sci-fi movies, and I love Star Trek, Star Wars, all that stuff.
Yeah, I love them.
And I do like superhero movies because they kind of make you think about, things that are not possible right now, but they may be possible one day. So I like that.
Me too. It's so different. It's like a imaginative, different. Thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Imagine what it could be, right?
Yes. It's interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
So, hello.
Klaus is back.
Yeah. I don't think in any questions for you, but if you want, you can ask me some questions. I don't know.
Yes, I want to ask you guys all some questions. So what do you want to do when you go to school, when you go to college? What's your plan?
Oh my God. Oh, I think it's the most difficult question that I ever think. I think I don't know. I think I like to study astronomy. I like to know things about space and stuff like that.
That's really cool. We have an astronomy degree here at NC State. It's a really big department, and we have lots of students that major in astronomy. So it's an important field.
Yeah.
Do you use social media? Do you use Twitter at all?
Twitter, no, but I like to use Instagram, sometimes Facebook.
Okay, so there's a lot of astronomy people on Twitter, so you might want to check that out. A lot of scientists are on Twitter, and it's a really great place to get to see what they're doing. There's a very famous person on Twitter called Astro Katie, and she works here at NC State. She's super, super famous. You should check her out.
Yeah, I will download Twitter.
Well, you could check it out. Maybe you'll like it.
Yeah. Sometimes on Instagram, I look some astronomy accounts and things like that.
That's good. That's good. You should always be thinking about what other people are doing in the field that you like. That's very important.
Yeah.
And in Brazil, you're really close to Chile, where they have all those famous observatories, right? So you're not even far from that. That could be a great field trip for you. You've heard of those super famous observatories in Chile? I don't remember what they're called, but they're big, and they use people from all over the world use them. So maybe you could read about that, on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. And Caio has a question for you.
Okay.
Hello again.
Hi.
We had prepared some questions, and the last one that I gonna make for you, I'm gonna change in some way to make more soft. The question was, are you a mad scientist, eccentric, crazy, kind of scientists. But anyway, it's like there is this stereotype that scientists are crazy or something like that. And the question is about if you are one of them. And the
What
other,
do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think scientists are crazy. I think they are more intelligent, and that makes a person crazy. But seeing that we live not too much than years ago, but what do you think that you as a woman scientist you can do about the people who don't think that they can be a scientist because of their gender or because they don't have money or something like that? What do you want to say to these people that don't feel brave enough to try something because other type of people say they can't?
You know, a friend of mine does a lot of work on science communication and how to educate people about science. And he always says that facts never change anybody's mind. That really the only thing you can do is just show them what you have done and let them make up their own mind, right? So you have met me today. I don't think I'm a mad scientist. I think I'm a very normal person. And most of my colleagues are just like me, normal people working, trying to solve problems, just like anybody else, right? If I can tell you one thing about me is I come from a country just like yours, right? I'm from a neighboring country. I went to a school that by looking at what's on your walls of your school, my school looked just like yours. I think we had the same map and the same kind of windows. There's nothing special about me. Like I was a student just like you guys sitting in that classroom. And I just decided to do what I love to do. And I just, here we are. Many years later, it worked out really well for me. It doesn't mean that it's going to work out for everybody, but if you like it and you think that science is your thing, I tried it and it worked well. I mean, there's not that much that you can do just by telling people. You have to show people, That's why we do these Skype as scientist sessions. Because if we send you a letter at your school and we said, hey, you can be a scientist, would that convince you? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
But you've met me and you can meet many more scientists through the same program, and maybe one of us will convince one of you that this is a career path that you could take. And if you come to this session and you decide that you don't want to be a scientist, that's okay too. That's important too. When I was in school, the nuns were always trying to convince us to become nuns. And I didn't want to be a nun, but I think that's important information, right? I figure out what I wanted to do and I figure out what I didn't want to do. So that's why we do this. There's nothing I would say to you to convince you. I would just say, hey, I was just like you, sitting in South America, in a little classroom, in a little school, and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you make it happen, right? There's no magical formula. You just do it because you love it. So if you love science, then that's the path for you, And if you love something else, that's fine too. If you would rather be, I don't know, if you would rather be a writer or a journalist or a nun, nuns don't take boys. So that would not work for you, but it may work for somebody else,
And also I have I think my last question. That is, what is the most difficult part of chemistry that don't involve math?
Well, all the difficult parts of chemistry involve math. Sorry. The rest of it is really easy. So I don't know how to answer that question. To me, the most difficult part of chemistry was physical chemistry because it's physics and it has math and then it has a tiny little bit of chemistry. So I didn't like that. But, other people think that organic chemistry is really hard. So it really depends on what you like. If you ask 100 chemists, you're going to get 100 different questions. But for me, physical chemistry was the hardest.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's just really hard.
Okay, thank you. Nice to
You're
meet
welcome.
Very good. Sophia, Dani, Sofia, Isabella, Pablo, Mom. Very nice. So I have a question for you. I maybe two.
Yes.
So one of them is about the language.
Uh-huh.
Of course, your first language is Spanish, right? So how did you learn English? And was that enough when you went to the United States? How did you get your post graduation chance in the USA?
So I always wanted to learn English since I was little because I had this idea that in the United States, it would be easier for a woman to have her own career. I don't know where that came from. I think it came from watching TV. So I guess just like you guys, we had American TV that was translated, right, to Spanish. But I always wanted to actually be able to understand English. So when I went to the movies, I didn't have to read the subtitles. That was very important to me. So I went to an English academy. There was an English academy close to my house. And I asked my mom to sign me up. And I really, really try very hard to learn. And then I watched a ton of movies, and I always try to copy the way they were talking in the movies. Sometimes that's good, sometimes not so good. Some movies have a lot of bad words. That's not the best way to learn English. But that was really helpful. And then when I came to the US, I had a very strong accent, but I had enough words to get by. So you just work on it. It wasn't that hard. I mean, a lot of kids these days are doing so many things in English anyways. They're watching movies in English. They're playing video games in English. A lot of social media is in English. So I think it shouldn't be that hard for them to pick it up. But you really need it. If you want to study in the United States, you're going to need that. But most of your students are really good. I mean, I could understand them just fine.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they're doing really good. Good job, guys.
Yes, they are thinking very good. Another thing is towards I think it's a kind of political question. We have been getting a lot of news from Venezuela these last 2 years, I guess, and maybe you have a different insight about the subject. I mean, has your family, or have you been affected by the supposed crisis in Venezuela?
Well, I left Venezuela 25 years ago, which is when Chavez got to power. So I personally have not experienced all of the horrible things that have happened in Venezuela. The only member of my family that's still in Venezuela is my father. He's 86 and he lives in Caracas. And I haven't been able to talk to him the last 4 days because they haven't had power. I don't know if you heard about this. So the whole country has been without power for going on 4 days. My dad is okay. He has a lot of friends. He is only one person. So, he can find enough food to eat, and he doesn't want to leave because he loves his house. He loves his dog, and he refuses to go. But it's hard, it's hard for me to be so far from him and to not be able to help more. So yeah, that has been very hard. Politics has ruined Venezuela. Venezuela used to be one of the most beautiful countries in the world, still is a beautiful country, but you just can't go. So yeah, I'm very sad about the political situation in Venezuela, and I wish it would change, but I don't know that this change that we're having right now is going in the right direction. I don't know. I don't know that this Guaido has the right motives, but that's not for me to decide. I just want it to be over as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's right. Very good. Nice answer.
It's very hard.
Yes, very hard. we have been receiving, I mean, in Brazil, we have been receiving some people immigrating from Venezuela to Brazil. So we know that the bad stuff we see on TV, I think sometimes they exaggerate, but there is some reality to it too.
Oh, there is a lot of reality. People don't leave their country just for fun, you know. People that are moving to Brazil are very desperate,
That's right.
and desperate people do not make good immigrants. You know, they may try, but it's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Politics has ruined Venezuela, and now politics is ruining the United States. So I don't know where I will move next.
Yes, and I'm afraid the same is going to happen to Brazil. It's happening to Brazil.
Yep.
Very good. So,
Life would be so much easier if politics were not ruining everything.
that's right. Last question for you. What would you say to encourage young people that are trying to learn how to survive and do what they love in this world?
Just keep going. You know, sometimes it's going to look hard. Sometimes you're going to have to take some detours. I did not become a scientist in one day. When I tell the story, it looks like it all happened very linear. It wasn't linear. You know, I had to leave my country. I had to make a life in another country, which is completely different from mine. I still miss the food, believe it or not. But there are things that, I mean, it's worth it in the end, right? So just keep going. Just keep putting one foot in front of another. And if you need help, ask for help. You know, I mean, people are always so
Pseudo independent.
to ask for help. If you know somebody that has the kind of career that you would like to have, ask them, you know, how to get there? Can you help me get there? And a lot of people would be very helpful. And if somebody says no, that's okay. You just ask somebody else, you know, just keep going. That just don't give up. Just like anything else in this world, right? If you wanted to learn a sport, if you want to learn how to play soccer, what would you do? Practice, right? Get a soccer ball and practice. Well, it's the same thing, you know. Science is like soccer, just there's no ball. And you just have to keep practicing.
Different balls.
Yeah, there's different balls. That's right. There's balls, but they're different.
Very nice. Okay, very good. Well, it was a lovely conversation, very inspiring. We wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it
Thank
was
you, guys.
amazing. And I mean, much better than that I would have ever imagined. It was very
Well,
good.
thank you. Thank you very much. It was very nice to meet everybody.
Yes, let's take a
Great.
picture.
Good luck with everything. Bye.
Let's take a picture with you. Do you have?
Oh, yeah, let's take a picture. That'll be awesome.
Okay.
How do we take a picture?
So let's get closer to the screen.
Everybody.
Is everybody? Sophie and Isabella in the front, yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes. There is someone there who should be here.
Uh-huh.
I will come to the other way.
Klaus needs to move to the other side so we can see him or somebody. Uh-huh.
And probably Klaus too. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's there.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to take a lot of pictures. 3,
Right.
2, 1. Say cheese.
Cheese.
Okay. One more. Keep smiling. Yes. One more. Yes. Excellent. Now,
Are you going to send me a picture?
yes, I'm going to send you the pictures. Now on the board. Let's go to the board to take one more picture on the big screen. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A little more. Yes. Okay, one moment. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Let's say goodbye to Maria Gallardo-Williams.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.